I love reading, and last year I read, I think 52 books, perfectly 52, so basically a book a week. And I love talking about books, so I'm gonna start doing a monthly wrap up. I don't know. January was a really good month. I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I read 8 books. I'm gonna talk about 9 of them because one of the books I just love, and I read it at the end of December. So, close enough. The beginning of January, I was actually in Japan, so all the books I read are on my iPad, which I actually hate doing, and I don't love reading books digitally because, like, a physical book is just so much better. Like, being able to see the pages and, like, visibly feel how far you've read. Love that. But I didn't bring any books with me, so I had to get them on my iPad. The very first book of the year I read was Everyone in This Room Will Someday Be Dead. I actually didn't really like this one. I thought it had a lot of potential. The whole premise is very much like my kind of taste. It's about this lesbian. She goes to a Catholic church thinking that she's gonna get like free therapy, I'm pretty sure, and then when she gets there she ends up being mistaken as an interviewee for this new job, and then she ends up working at the church, and she's just constantly thinking about how everyone will someday be dead. There's kind of like a murder mystery weaved in. I just thought that the book, it had some good moments, and I think that this author has a lot of potential, and maybe you should read more of her books, but I just found this book to be a little bit one-dimensional. I feel like there was so much that they could have played with. She could have delved a lot deeper into this character's background, and like, I mean, this character is like severely depressed, and I feel like I just didn't feel it that much. I don't know. The book just did not hit for me, and I don't think it's a bad book. I just don't think I am the target audience. The next book I read was Father of the Rain by Lily King. This is the third book I read from her, and I loved it. It's basically about this girl who has an alcoholic father and spans over many, many years of her life. Starts when she's a child, ends when she's like a full-grown adult. And it's a very touching book about your relationship with your parents, especially when they are maybe more problematic people that have some very dislikable qualities. I say this in my reviews on Goodreads, but Lily King just has a way of like reaching into a story, grabbing its heart and handing it directly to you. Like I'll talk more about her because I have 3 more of her books in this pile, but just whatever she's writing about, she knows how to get to the heart of the story, and she knows how to make you sympathize and care about the characters, which is ultimately like the only goal when you write, and she knows how to do it really well. And so this book was just another great example of like her ability to do that. I thought it was really sweet. Yeah, just perfect book. I haven't read a single book I haven't liked from her. So, and then the last book I read on my iPad was Wild Dark Shore. I loved this book, and I've heard people talk about it a lot. I'm always pretty wary of books that are just like immediately very popular when they come out, and I mean, I saw this book everywhere for like however long it's been out. It's been very popular, but I was pleasantly surprised. Like, it definitely lived up to the hype. It was very lush. The setting was so apparent in this book. I mean, the island is beautiful, and the way that she describes it is beautiful. I saw a lot of reviews that said it felt slow. I personally never once felt like it was slow. I thought it was paced well. The whole time I was drawn into the mystery. I really liked it. I don't know, that was perfect. And then at the end it talks about how it's like based on this real island. It got me like researching like real things that have happened in this world that are maybe not very ethical, and I think a book that can do that is a very powerful one. So loved that book. Okay, now on to the real books. Part the Lover by Lily King. It's about this girl who's in college. She meets 2 guys in her class, and the rest of her life changes. And it's a book about what could have been miscommunication, lost chances, but also about growing up and love and the different forms that it takes, forgiveness. I mean, there's so many themes that play into this book, but I read this book within a matter of days. I mean, the font is pretty large and it's pretty spaced out. What is this? Oh, I also went to a book signing that she did because I loved the book so much, and she signed it for me. I love her. I love her. I almost hate this book because of how real it feels. It just makes you think, at least it made me think about things that make me very sad, but in a way that made it feel okay. If that makes any sense. I feel like I'm being awfully vague, but I just don't want to give anything away because I think it's a great book and I don't want to tell it. I think you should read it. The way that she writes her characters and her dialogue, it just feels so real. It feels like I'm reading a real story about something that really happened to someone. The first page is just a couple of sentences and it says, "You knew I'd write a book about you someday. You said once that I'd dredged up the whole hit parade minus you. I'll never know how you'd tell it. For me, it begins here." Like this. It just feels so personal, you know, like I don't know who she's talking to, but this book is written for this person. Anyways, I sobbed at the end, thought about it for months. Every book after was just not as good. So then, because I just grew a love for Lily King, I read Euphoria by her as well. Basically, this book is about 3 anthropologists in the 1930s, kind of a love triangle. It's very different, like setting-wise, from the rest of her books. Reading this book after reading Heart the Lover, I was like, okay, this is the same book, just in completely different settings. It's really interesting. I mean, she's really good at writing whatever story this is. And this one, I think, gets a lot of hate from all of her fans because they love Writers and Lovers, they love Heart the Lover, but I think this one was just as good. You just have to be able to look for the right things. I don't know. I think also people expect another version of Writers and Lovers, and this one's just very different, but if you accept it for what it is, it's actually a really good book. Okay, next on the list, Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. I got this really pretty version of it at a used bookstore. Basically, it's about a boy named Sam and a girl named Sadie. They grew up together. They end up going to college in the same kind of area. And after years of not talking, they rekindle their friendship, and they're both really into video games and game design. They're both also very, very smart people. The book spans 30 years, and it's about them creating video games together. It's just a very heartwarming book about friendship. And lately I've found myself loving books about friendship or unlikely sort of relationships. I've really grown to hate romance, which is like, I mean, romance is what got me into reading in the first place, like in high school, but now I just can't even read it, and I try to stay away from it. I like it if it's a subplot in a book, but if the whole book is about romance, like don't even. I also don't know anything about video games, and I think out of all the things in the world, video games is what I'm like least interested in, like out of literally everything. Never ever once played a single video game, but I found this book pretty interesting. And it's all about video games. So then the next book I read was actually very heartbreaking. I read Go as a River. I did not expect this to be as sad as it was. I saw someone on Goodreads read this, and then I saw that it took place in Colorado, and I was like, oh great, I'm going back there for a week. I'm just gonna get it and read it there. It was actually like one of the saddest books I've ever read, and I love sad books, but this one was like gut-wrenchingly sad, like hauntingly sad. It's basically about this woman named Victoria. It takes place in like the 40s, I think. She falls in love with this boy named Wilson Moon, who I believe is a Native American. In this time, in this town, everyone's very racist, and he is not accepted in her town. But she falls in love with him, and the rest of her life changes. I said that about another book, but I'm saying it again. I wish I could talk about like what happens in the book, but then it would just spoil the whole thing. Very redeeming, perfect ending. It was one of those books where I would read it and I'd have to like put it down and remind myself like, this is not my life, it's not happening to me, it's okay, like calm my nervous system down, because it just felt so real. 5-star book though. Okay, switching things up a bit, I read Perfume and Pain by Anna Dorn. This is a fun, like, contemporary fiction sapphic novel. Very different from the last book. It's basically about a woman named Astrid, who is a lesbian living in LA. She's a writer, and she's basically just dating a bunch of girls, figuring out what to do with her life. This book did 3 things. It made me laugh out loud multiple times. It reminded me why I hate drinking, and it reminded me why I hate having a crush. And it's also very, like, she depicts a very accurate picture of what it's like to be an alcoholic, to have some substance abuse issues and also to have some like obsessive qualities and what it's like to have an unhealthy crush. Multiple unhealthy crushes. I mean, this character is very like morally gray, and I mean it takes place in LA, so it's very like materialistic, but I found it very entertaining. I think also living near the LA area, it was fun to read about because now I kind of like know everything she's talking about. Overall, I just really enjoyed this book. I do think on some level you have to kind of relate to something for it to be interesting. Like, I can't imagine my boyfriend reading this and having a good time, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe he would enjoy it. This book is kind of going on my shelf of like inspo for when I write a book because I like this style, I like the story. I love contemporary fiction like this. I could make a whole video about books like this because I've found a lot recently and I really love them. Okay, and then my last book of January, not December, 5 Tuesdays in Winter by Lily King. This is actually a collection of short stories. I think it's 10 short stories. I don't love short stories just because I want to like, for me, books and movies are a world to escape to, and I like to go to a place and return to it. So like, that's why I love having a fun show to binge or watch weekly, and that's why I like when movies take place in settings that I like, because I just like having that comfort, I guess. So with short stories, it's like every 30 pages we're with new characters in a new setting, and I don't love that. But for Lily, I will read her short stories. I will. And that says a lot. That tells you how much I like her. I loved all of these. The first one really shocked me. I was like, oh, it's this kind of short story book? Okay. And if you read it, you know what I'm talking about. If she were to turn any of these short stories into a full novel, like, I would read it. They were all beautiful, hopeful. I really enjoy everything she's ever written, and this is no exception. Is that even the saying? That was all I read in January. I'm like halfway through February as I'm filming this, and I have a lot of books I want to talk about for this month, so looking forward to that. Follow me on Goodreads because Goodreads is my favorite social media. Every person I follow on Goodreads, like I love watching their updates and seeing what they're reading. It's my favorite thing ever, so follow me if you like reading. And that's all. Thank you for watching.